Hi guys, this is Mia from Mima Design Laser Files, and today I'll be showing you how to paint a little more rustic and detailed. I have this lightning ornament that I already made a tutorial for on how to assemble, and it's time to get this polar bear done and on top. I'll be using the method that I used on this penguin. It's so adorable. All the characters are from my countdown ornaments, and I'll be working on the entire series of these to go on the lightning ornaments and my door hangers. So I'll be using this guy as a reference because I want it to look a little bit like him. This one was painted exclusively with chalk paint. For this one, because it's obviously smaller, I'll be using paint pens. I have these acrylic paint markers from Amazon. They were cheap, I think around $25. And the cool thing is that you have 36 pens but 72 colors, and they kind of mix and match in both ends. So for the penguin, I did a greenish theme. For this polar bear, I'll be doing a bluish theme, like that. So I already grabbed a few of the paint pens that I think could work for this. Also, you'll need a very old and worn out brush for the details, the snow. So I'll be showing that as well. Usually I would paint the front and the back of all my ornaments first, but I made the assembly tutorial for this one, so I'll paint it already assembled. For the penguin, I used this chalk paint. It's called Lucy in the Sky, and it's from Fleur. It's a Danish brand bought in Sicily, but you could use any. I love to work with chalk paint because it gives it this matte look. So, enough talking and a little more painting. I'll paint the front. You don't have to paint the part that's scored with the polar bear. I'll paint the hanger as well. In these files you can choose between painting the scored hanger, or you could cut an extra hanger to place on top. So for these specifically, these edges you might want to hide, like I did on the penguin. I added glitter afterwards because sometimes you don't get the layering right, and sometimes you might have some color nuances. So you could either stain the edges or paint them, and maybe even soak them with glitter like I did. So I'll just wipe over the edges, and I might want to take out the battery. Slide out the door. So I'll let this dry, and then I'll continue on the back afterwards. Let this dry, and for the door I might as well paint that on the edge and the door itself. So for the polar bear, you might see that I don't sand or mask my wood before cutting, because I always do that afterwards. So if your wood looks like this and you want it to be white, you should really take off the residue marks, because otherwise it might be see-through or bleed out to your white paint. So I'm using this sanding sponge, you could say, but you could use regular sandpaper as well, fine grit. That might actually be a little faster. This one is a bit finer in grit than my sandpaper. I'm using grit 240. So I'll just give it a quick sand to get off the worst residue marks and also make my wood smooth to paint on. So with that done, I'll start by showing you, because I want to color fill the mouth and the eyes so they'll be black compared to the white polar bear. So I'm using a marker. You can use anything black, you can use paint even. Just get it inside the engraved area. Don't worry about hitting over or on the pupils, because the wood is raised in the non-engraved areas. So once you wipe it over with the paint, you can see it. You might have to give it 2 or 3 coats if it bleeds through, but it works. So that's how I always color fill my engravings. And now that I have my black, I might as well paint the nose. Like that. And I'll actually do the edges too, because it looks nice when it's all black and solid. Like that. Let's just wipe it over again there. The engravings need to dry totally before you run over with your white paint. So I'll continue with the scarf, the pom-pom, and the ear, and the top of the head. Oh, I could paint the top of the head. So let's see what color combination I want. I'm thinking I have to pick something that's not too close to that color. That one is. So maybe this one. Yeah. So I'll just wipe over the head. And all my 3D files come with some kind of instructions that will tell you where to paint and where you don't have to paint. So in this case, I want to paint the head itself, but the pom-pom and the head rim will be layered, so I don't have to paint those. I'll paint the scarf the same color. And since I'm doing this rustic look, I don't worry too much if it's covering the wood totally, because I'll be doing so many small things on it anyway. So this blue might be great to contrast. And I said, these markers usually look great together, so I think I'll just be using this one for the head. So for the head rim, I'll paint dual tone. And since I'll be doing a lot of details, I don't worry too much about going over the edge of the scored line. If I was only doing one layer of paints, I would very. But with this technique, I actually think it will look cute if you make it a little blendy, or whatever you call it. So, I think they'll look cute together. So I'll take the lighter color and use for the hats and the scarf. I'll kind of draw the missing part of the scarf here and just make some lines that would look like the scarf is hanging. I don't put any pressure on my pen, I just kind of let it run over in the direction I like it to go. Like that. And for the hats, I'll do some lines upwards. Kind of random too. Something like that. I don't have this color on that hat, so I'll be using that on the rim. And I'll kind of just wipe this over the scored line. So now I have 3 colors on my head rim. Like that. And a little tip is to angle the wood and kind of just wipe it over the edge. Right now it might look poorly painted, but I promise you that once you add the snow, it will look awesome. So for the pom-pom, I'll do some lines from the center and out. I'll be using this dark one too. So I'm actually using 3 colors of blue for this one. I didn't have that on the scarf or the hat either, so I'll add a little of it here. Like that. And for the hats, I'll just kind of wipe the same direction as the other lines. But still have both of the colors showing. So I want to find a pen that's lighter than these. Like this one, no, it will be too close, I think, to the color of the ornament. So I might just go ahead and use my white. And just kind of make some highlights around the edges to make it look a little more cartoonish. And this kind of blends in with the colors I already have, so that's cool. Take the edges of the pom-pom. and add just a few lines inside it without pushing too hard. So you might see how it's starting to shape up. That's it, I think. So the polar bear, I still have to paint white. I could use acrylic marker as well, but I don't think my markers cover that well, so I'm using chalk paint instead. Also because it's way easier to make this color filling with actual paints and a foam brush. Because what you want to do is kind of just wipe it over without getting paint stuck inside the engraving. So remove a little excess and just go over like this. No pushing, just let the brush glide over. And because I'm doing this frosted effect on this polar bear, I think one layer is enough for me, because I don't mind the shadows from the black paint. It slipped. But there's an easy way to fix that. It's just taking the black pen and kind of go inside the engraving again. Now I just have to be careful that I don't get it smudged. So like that. That's why I usually paint this while my piece is on the table and not in my hand. But it should be easier for you to see if I lift it like this. So, and as I told, it will indicate where to paint, and these two parts need to be white as well. So that's the heads, and let's do the mouth. I almost dropped this one as well, so I have to be, a little careful. That doesn't matter. I'll leave this on the table. And on the mouth you might be able to see what I meant about the discoloration. So this one will have a second coat when this is dry. I'll not be removing my white paint because I need it for the snowflakes. So I'll let this dry and show you how to make the frosted snowflake effect. I have to find my brush. I'll be using the worn out brush and also a stiff kind of brush. And again, these are my son's brushes that we bought a long time ago. So you want to put just a tiny amount of paint on and kind of dab it on a piece of paper or your wood like me, and just kind of dab it around your painted parts. You don't want to have too much paint on the brush, because then you'll end up painting it all white. But you might see where I'm going with this. And I like to kind of push a little harder on the edges. And I'll be doing all my parts like this. And there you see what I meant, that you need to kind of dab your brush free of paint. It's okay because it's just the head rim for this one. Yeah, that will be fine. And the pom-pom. That's my husband's. So for the pom-pom, I like the edges to be a little wider than the rest. So I'll dab those a little harder. Like that. So you might see what I mean now, because it looks rustic, but you can still see the colors. I'll be using my stiff brush. I'll just use a little of this excess paint and just kind of mark the edges of my wood with the white as well. And this is not something I've done for a million years. The polar bear's door hanger was the first time doing this method, and the penguin was yesterday's creations. So this is actually only my third time doing this. So if I can do it, so can you. It's just a matter of patience and trying your ways. So what you could do if you feel like you got too much paint on is to find the color again and just kind of make some more lines. That will highlight my blue a little bit too, I suppose. Like that. But I still want to have it covered a little bit from the snow. That's perfect. Also, because I know the edges will be showing, I like to dab some snow on the edge of it. I might use this instead. So like that. You could paint the edges the same colors as your elements, or you can just do like this, or you could leave them brown. So there you go. I'll take this mouth now. And the shadow is gone. So enough with this. But I still want to shade my polar bear a little. So I have this kind of like beige paint. It's called Sophistication. It's also chalk paint from Fleur. So I'll dab a little bit of that. Just to leave a little effect on my polar bear. Be careful that you don't get it stuck inside the engraving. Just slightly dab it. Like that. So now he's not white, but looks a little more rustic. For the nose, I like to do the edges of it. So it looks like snow is falling from the nose. Like that. No, that's not it. I'm missing that ear. For the ear, I'll just paint it pink. This is a very light pink. And again, I want to add just a little bit of snow, so I'll just dab it like that. So this is somehow what the finished polar bear will look like. I think it turned out super cute. Let's just move this aside and back to my ornament. And painting does take a long time. I'm at 32 minutes now, but it does look a whole lot nicer. So for the the ornaments, I used glitter finish on the penguin. I used, where do I have that? These glitter pins from glitter glue from Crayola, sorry. And also I used regular glue and fine glitter. I'll not be doing this right now because it needs a lot of time to dry, but I did paint a lot of snowflakes as well with a fine brush, just kind of dab them. And for the hanger, as said, you can paint this or you can layer it. For this one, I just took a metallic paint pen and did something like this. Also, I like to take the edges. You have to push a little in the crease. And to make this tutorial a tiny bit faster, I'm not going to paint the back right now or add the glitter, but I'll show you how I added the glitter on the edge, which was very easy too. Okay, so piece of paper to prevent a whole lot of mess. Add some glue. And I use a foam brush. So you kind of just wipe over the edges with glue. This is wood glue from wintery. It's a universal glue, so it's used in daycares, etc. as well. But you could use Mod Podge or whatever you're used to. So I take one section at a time, take my glitter, and just sprinkle it. So you have to knock off the excess, and you can see how it will look like this. Once I've done the whole edge, I like to place a piece of ribbon and hang it while it's drying. And last but not least, once it's dry, I don't want to have glitter everywhere, so I'll seal it with finish or a clear coat of something so it doesn't fall off. But that's pretty much it, and I think you can figure out the rest of it on your own. If not, just yell at me and I'll make a new tutorial. Let's just put this in. And once you're done, you just glue your polar bear character or whatever on top. So like that, more or less. Isn't he cute? I think so.